Superman Ian Hutchinson. That has made a total of 8 TT wins, 5 this week. He is the new king of the mountain.
Had a good run out at the Northwest, won the Super Sport race at the Northwest, so by the TT I was feeling really confident and strong, and we'd kind of used the Northwest as a bit of practice in the end on the big bike. You know, I never really got to bite the bit and try and win a superbike race. There were still things we were working on, but I left there actually really confident that I had a superbike that I could win the TT on, which was the important part really. And right from the start of practice week, I'd set out my goals on the big bike, and I was going to spend most of my time in practice week on the big bike, which can work both ways for you because they're tiring to ride. And if you start fitting 4 or 5 laps in every single night in practice week, and 2 or 3, 4 of them are all on a big bike, you can end up worn out by race week. But I'd trained real hard in winter, and being up at Jim Moody's training away, and I'd just got my head in the right place and my fitness in the right place. The bike was working good, and went into practice, end of practice week. I was the fastest, and went into the first race really confident, but also knowing it was going to be close and anything can happen at the TT. It had come really cold, and it always seems a bit eerie over there when it's like that. The sea mist came in on the start line, and it's hard to get revved up when you're cold. And it sounds odd, but you're not relaxed, and it makes you a bit tense. And anyway, we started the race, and everything that had gone on in practice week, I just felt like I was sat on a different bike. It was almost like I'd had a massive crash and they'd rebuilt the bike, and it wasn't the same bike, and I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't get any grip from the rear, and we were lapping nearly as fast as practice week, but it just felt like a totally different bike. And Connor was getting away from me a bit in the race, and I came in for the pit stop, and I'd kind of shouted to the crew that I had no grip from the rear. And we changed the rear anyway at the first pit and the second pit, and fueled it up, and I left the pit lane then, and it was back to my bike. So I don't really know what had happened, if it was down to a tyre thing or down to it being so cold and it had been warm throughout all of practice, but the bike was back feeling how I liked it, and we started chipping away at Connor's lead again. I think he got right into 20 odd seconds lead. I got back down to 18, and it's sort of a never say never thing at the Isle of Man, and I kept digging away, and he was better in some places, and I was chipping away at it. We came in for the next pit stop, and everything was going pretty good, but I thought, I'm probably not going to get this, but I've got to keep pushing hard. I left the pit stop on the second pit, and he'd had the problem behind me, and I got to my pit board at Ballacrane. I think it had come down to -4 seconds, so I knew then we were definitely on, and then my next pit board was plus a lot of seconds. I can't really remember what they were, but I had a big gap then. So it's a bit of a strange one, because like people might think I'm strange for saying this, but I don't like winning races like that. So it was almost like a bit empty, because I never got to race on the last lap. Guy got penalised from second as well, yeah, so that took him, but he was still quite a long way back, and it's probably 30 seconds down, I think. So yeah, it didn't really alter much. I think he was in a close battle anyway, so I didn't really notice that on the boards. But yeah, but we got the win, and I had my own problems in the race and stuff, so I knew still for the senior that we were going to be there, and it wasn't as if it was a totally empty race. We'd learnt a lot from it, and once we got the tyre change, we were on the pace again. Right, that's the Superbike race won. On to the 600 race. I wanted to win a Superbike and a 600 in the same year, just for my own little achievement, and the Superbike one was done, but I still wanted to win the senior. So I was taking each race as it came, and the 600 race I knew it was going to be tight, and it was tight, you know, it was one of the closest battles, well, the closest battle I've had for a win round there. And I knew Michael was going to be a threat, and on the 600, and Guy had a real strong bike last year. His 600 was, you know, a real good bike, and he's probably seen it as his best chance for a win. I knew I was riding good that day, and I never led it from the start, but I'd definitely neglected the 600 and the stocker in practice week, and I knew I was going to have to build up a little bit and not do anything stupid at the start, because you know, it's quite hard to get a feel for the bike straight away anyway when you've just jumped off a big bike. But when I'd not had much time in practice week to really know it inside out round there, I knew it was going to take a bit. I got to see Bruce and John out on track, and you know, I caught them on the road, and I kind of, you know, Bruce didn't really look to be, you know, in any form. John looked to be riding good, so it was a bit hard to take anything from it, but I felt strong in myself, and they were obviously not going to be a part of the 600 race. It was people behind me that were doing the times, so I think my first pit board was P4, and then as I got into the race, I got up to second, and I really wanted to know what the gap was. That was the thing when I was in third or fourth. You know, it wasn't about thinking, you know, I'm still okay, because I didn't know how far the leader was getting away. Once I got up to second, we were dicing within 1 or 2 seconds of each other, and came into the pits, and I'd seen Guy's pit board out there somewhere, and seen it was him that was P1, and came into the pits, got a bit of information there, and got my head down. I'd a good feel for the bike by then, and you know, I knew it was going to be down to a last lap battle. It was that close. I remember coming out of Ramsey, and my pit board before it was plus 1.8, I think, and I'd got some back markers. There were 2 back markers together coming from Ramsey hairpin up onto the mountain, and I just thought, if I try to do anything stupid here, I could lose the lead. If I stay behind him, I'm going to lose some time, but you know, at least not make a mistake. So I kind of took it as calmly as I could and followed them all the way up through Waterworks, and right up, and I took them into the gooseneck. So I never got a real nice run onto the mountain. As soon as I got to the gooseneck, that was it. I just knew I've got to be flowing and not make one mistake, get everything perfect over the mountain. You know, fingers crossed I didn't come across anyone else, but I still came across a few others. But you always know everyone's going to come across back markers, so it's just, you know, a part of it. And I got a run over the mountain, and I just, you know, pinned it right to the line, crossed the line, not really knowing what was going on, and then had to wait to see Guy cross the line.
This is Guy Martin, and this is the important bit, the difference between Hutchinson and Martin. Let me see, 35, Hutchinson's going to get it.
Yeah, he is. He's got it. Hutchinson has won. That's his second TT this week.
First Super Sport race won, on to Super Stock race.